So I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Governmental Affairs and Public Information Committee, October 24th, 2025. So it is 9:40. Sorry, guys. Before we begin, please note this meeting is being recorded. Welcome, everyone. If you'd like to provide public comment in today's meeting, and if you have not done so already, please let Thomas know in the back of the room or Justine in on the call-in line. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. Good morning again, everyone. Starting with Director Garbarino. Here. Director Hill.
Here.
Parrish. Here. Rabbits absent. Verdoni.
Here.
Vice Chair Giudice.
Here.
Chair Snyder.
Here.
President Cochran.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum. You are also a committee of the whole. In the room, we also have Directors Devlin, Hardiman, Hernandez, Maston, and Palmer.
Great. Thank you. We'll begin with agenda item number 3, which is a state update from district's legislative advocates, Platinum Advisors, and Bo is here to present. Go ahead, Bo. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Directors. Bo Biller with Platinum Advisors. We're your Sacramento contract lobby team, and I'm pleased to make a report from Sacramento for you this morning. So all types of issues, going from propositions to what happened at the end of the session, but I'm going to go in reverse order and come back to an item that we picked up early on. It was an urgent item, and I think thanks to the bridge and your leadership, Mr. Director, coming to Sacramento and really making a difference to insert some critical language for some flexibility for the painting situation here at the bridge. We were able to, we had to get involved with the pro tem and the speaker and the budget staff and check off all the boxes and make a plea for some urgent action. Thankfully, many will tell you in Sacramento, we do way too much policy in budget trailer bills now, but when it benefits you, it's okay. So we were able to slide some language into a budget trailer bill and take advantage of what's become commonplace in Sacramento. I would also say we have the 72-hour rule where, 10 years ago, I think that came into play, where it used to be for us on the lobby front, it was kind of exciting. The last night of session, it would be, let's say, 11:30. And if it was the second half of the biennial session, it's sine die at midnight, and suddenly language pops out, and you have to read it quickly. It doesn't matter at this point, because if it's come out, it's been ordained by the speaker and the pro tem, it's going to happen. But you get to call your client at just about midnight and say, oh my gosh, this is what's going to happen to you. Now we get 72 hours in advance, and you get to read it, but the outcome is pretty much the same. You just get to see it early. So in this case, we took advantage of the budget trailer bill language, process, I should say, got the language inserted, and really it was an effort with the painters and the other labor unions and the bridge and everybody coming in and making a difference and getting that ask accomplished. So, and we couldn't have done that without Senator McGuire, the pro tem, and his budget staff. And I'll just quickly segue, because it seems to me and all the people that I've polled, both my Republican friends and my Democrat friends that look at internal polls, I would be quite surprised to see Prop 50 show up anywhere. Well, my guess is right around 59. Republicans are showing polls at 53. I talked to I met with one of the lead Democrat pollsters yesterday. He put it upwards of 62. So either way, I don't think, certainly based on what I see on TV and the effort and the spend, it's almost interesting. You find, in fact, there was just a story this morning. You've got Senator Grayson up here in the East Bay, and he's dropping in some yes on 50 mail right now. And of course, they tie that into, if Mark Desaulnier, Congressman Desaulnier, were ever to retire, now's the time. And you're seeing that on the TV. You've got Steyer's on TV now, and there's a lot. I think people were saying, well, shoot, it's going to pass. It's time to throw in a little bit of extra help and show that we're all paddling in the same direction. So it's, I don't think anything's going to slow that down right now. But anyway, just on the proposition front, though, that's the one everyone's talking about. But there are some other initiatives that are out there, one of which could have an impact on one of the bills that Senator Wiener ran this year. Sometimes I get them mixed up. I think it was 63, SB 63, which is going to allow you to have your election over here. And ultimately, I think the bridge stands to gain SB 63, about $1 million. We were able to insert ourselves there along with WIDA and get a few bucks set aside if that vote were to be in our favor. And I believe as it goes, and some of these things, maybe Dennis can help me on, but I think MTC has to then vote to put it onto the ballot. And on the ballot, as Steve told me, it's a majority vote. The way it's written in the news this morning is a 2/3 vote, but that leads me to another proposition that's being pushed by Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association to try and rekindle the old days of Prop 13 and say that any local vote has got to be 2/3. And so and right now it's not polling very well, but this is left over from a business roundtable effort 2 years ago that I think Governor Newsom got kicked off through a legal maneuver. But Howard Jarvis is going to take kind of a smaller version of it and try to go back and get the 2/3. If we were looking at a majority to get 63 and that tax increment of which you stand to gain $1 million out of that, if that initiative were to pass, there's just some unknowns, lots of unknowns, things that would have to happen, but that's one that's out there. There's another one that's being circulated by the Chamber of Commerce. This year in Sacramento, unwinding CEQA was a popular message. It was for the affordable housing. It was for
Good morning.
In Wiener's other bill, he did an extension of CEQA exemptions for transit-oriented development. And so I think we supported that one as well. I should just jump around, doing a little jumping here, so forgive me. But of the bills we supported, those two I just mentioned.
This is Tim Farrell.
Also, former director Stephanie here in San Francisco. We got on board early with one of her measures dealing with the license plates. And so that would in our favor. Once we opposed, I think I brought the veto message. One. Let's see, that was SB 274, also dealing with
Sharon, I want to speak on behalf of
automated license plates and hanging on to the information and the data. We actually got amendments inserted into that bill.
Good morning,
suited our needs.
Good morning. I want to speak on behalf of
overreach. Law enforcement needs to have some of this data and this information. So that's another one on that front. But I saw it looked like someone wanted to
Good morning.
ask a
I would like to speak on behalf of River.
Any questions?
I would like to speak
I think
on behalf of
Prop
M. Tillotson.
If they get the signatures, then it's going to be then it's 50% plus one.
Okay.
Kind of like what we're doing up at Smart right now.
So for Prop 63, Senate Bill 63, Senate Bill 63, which was authored by Senators Wiener and Arreguín, contemplates the possibility of a voter initiative in 5 counties. Those counties are San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Alameda, and Contra Costa. So our service area is, a lot of them are in Sonoma, so it's not in our service area. But that having been said, our service takes thousands of cars off the streets of San Francisco every day. So to their credit, they included us for about $1 million a year if it were to pass. And as the chair said, it would take signatures. It's important to know
my name
that
is Bradley Harger.
I'd
like to speak on behalf of Alicia Harger.
People, it's a lot of money and a lot of signatures. So, I just want to put that out there that, we need BART to be successful.
Everybody, please be patient. The board meeting begins at 10 a.m. We're in a different meeting at the moment. If I could please ask you to be patient, I'll get to you momentarily.
Significantly. And so we're very interested in this bill, not just for $1 million a year. So we want to see it to be successful, but that it's going to take a lot of effort to get it on the ballot next year. And so forces are starting to gather.
There is a malfunction.
It's going to be
Please mute that meeting in the background.
Amongst the trade unions and the ATU, SEIU, and even the Teamsters, I think.
Timothy Farrell, call on behalf.
As you know.
We are in a
so
different
a couple
meeting.
other items that might be of interest.
Please, I'm going to ask everybody to please remain muted until I poll for the board at 10.
On a daily basis.
Thank you.
The issues between the White House, or what's left of it, and in Sacramento, and what's going on here in California. But I would draw some attention to some of the issues that the U.S. EPA Region 9 got involved in, and ultimately U.S. EPA. And it was about maybe 2 months ago or so, they really started dropping some bombs on the air board. And I happen to know the fellow that was appointed to U.S. EPA Region 9. He's an old campaign hack from back in the day. And his name is John Cook. He's since stepped down from that position, so I feel like I can name him now. But he was over there and indicated to me that they were just going to unwind about everything they could find a way to unwind at the air board. And sure enough, US EPA actually sued the current police, I don't know if they call him executive director or what his title is, but Stephen Cliff over at the air board. First of all, he named him by name for violating the discontinuance of the waivers that were in there for advanced clean fleets, advanced clean cars. There was also a clean truck, basically a smog check for trucks that they discontinued. One of the things they also discontinued was the commercial hovercraft regulations. So might want to take a look and see how that may impact some of the ferry situations. I know the air board. I've watched the hearing all day yesterday. They are coming up with every way they can think of to resist, to fight, and I will quote them, the illegal actions of the US EPA. I'm certain that General Bonta, our Attorney General, Darius spells general all the time. I'm not sure. I guess it's a proper title. So General Bonta will continue to lead the efforts to sue the federal government on areas where they think that they've taken illegal actions. But it's very interesting for the future of how we're going to make this transition. The governor's executive order says we're going to move to all EV by, I forget the date, 2045, or pick a number somewhere out in the future. All that is just tabled for the moment based on what the US EPA has done. But the air board's not going to change their direction. They're looking at how do we fill that void? Do we go to what they call an indirect source rule, an ISR? The ISR that was going to be done down in the South Coast was also kicked out by the US EPA. So there's just a lot of tension and fighting. And for those that have to comply with what used to be the executive order and rules handed down by the air board, what happens if you jump for joy and say, I have to go buy a dirty diesel truck or dirty diesel bus and no one's going to touch me? Well, I think the air board's probably keeping very close track of those that are under their purview as far as regulations specific to engines and things like that. So that's an interesting front to keep an eye on. Let's see.
I could just, since we're on the air board, just so the board knows, it really complicates life that the Trump administration has rescinded the clean vehicle rule that California had, because all federal funds that come to California for transportation have to be in an approved transportation improvement program that has to go through an air quality conformity analysis. And all the regions in the state rely upon the California Air Resources Board model on how to calculate emissions in the future, which that model has baked in their rule that CARB had. And so right now there's no model that's calibrated for what might happen. And so come the end of December, getting TIP amendments through for projects will muck up getting money for projects. And so just want to make sure that people know that, while you see in the paper this arcane stuff between the Trump administration and some state regulatory body and the general suing, and that's all going to play itself out. In the meantime, though, there's existing federal rules on transportation projects that require certain things. Those things won't be feasible until CARB puts together a new computer model that then all the regions, the Bay Area, LA, Fresno, reruns for all their projects to see whether or not they can, check a box and have the money flow. So I just wanted to add that one complication.
Thanks, Dennis. Those are the parts I can't keep up with. So let's see. I think those are most of the items I wanted to hit on. I wrote down LCFS because there were two major other sort of market-driven environmental programs that are out there. Maybe I'll dig in for a second or cut me off if I'm running out of time, but this is, I think, of some interest. So I don't know if anyone's aware of the 41st senator in Sacramento, but there's a staffer who's been around forever named Kip Lipper, who I'm actually almost related to because my wife's mother-in-law's brother is Kip Lipper, but that's okay. He treats me like any other lobbyist up there. But Kip's been around for a long time. He was kind of the beginning of CEQA. He also was very involved in the cap and trade. But what he wasn't involved in was the low carbon fuel standard. So the low carbon fuel standard came around back in 2003, 4, somewhere around there by way of executive order. The Air Board has since owned it primarily, with very little intervention from the legislature. They've modified it over time, but essentially what it does, it says if you've got high carbon fuel, gas, diesel, whatever it happens to be that ranks as high carbon, and someone has lower carbon that they're producing and fueling their vehicles with. I'll take, for example, large truck fleets that use renewable natural gas or renewable diesel. The fuel provider that gets to take credit against the refinery that's making the high carbon stuff. It's very market driven as it relates to types of incentives we use to promote lower carbon fuels. With EV, hydrogen, and the renewables are on that area. Well, this year that came up, and there's actually a select committee that was created with Lori Wilson and I forget the other chair, but there was, I think it was the Assembly Committee. They went through the whole low carbon fuel standard. In the end, there was some legislation that Senator Grayson was pushing, SB 237, and this turned into a big deal. But 237 would have capped the rate at which you could get the credit back from the high carbon side of the equation. A huge group got together, all the people, you set up an industry, and transit is one in Sacramento. I mean, when Schwarzenegger tried to, blow up the boxes and kill $2 billion in public transit funding, you should have seen the room of suits that showed up and said, no, not today. So that went away. Same situation with low carbon fuel standard in those industries that have popped up to support it and, take advantage of it. We're able to pull that out of that bill. That bill did turn into something that I will tell you has been a bit of a sea change in Sacramento, and that is an understanding that petroleum products, particularly gasoline and diesel, preferably low carbon versions, but they're not going anywhere. And the refineries pulling out has caused the governor to have to really change his public tune over what we do to protect refineries. And in fact, the mayor from Benicia came up in an oversight hearing, fascinating hearing. You were there?
I think we were there.
Yeah, that's right. I saw you there. Great hearing, though. Really interesting. Whole bunch of interesting things. In fact, if you want, I will send the video over to Dennis, and if you're interested, you can ask him and he'll get it to you. It's 3 hours, 4 hours of really fascinating stuff. But when it comes to decommissioning or having a Valero pull out of Benicia, the aftermath of that, not just the tax increment for jobs and for all this stuff that's included, it's quite something. When you take a concern as big as a major refinery like that, what are you going to do with it when it's gone? It's really interesting. Not to mention that since 1975, our overall consumption of gasoline has almost been flat. Didn't know that one. Anyway, sorry about that. I sidetracked for a second. But Grayson's bill, left LCFS alone, ended up moving forward, creating some incentives for Valero to try to stay around. I don't know if it's going to work or not in the end. Supposedly there was 100 or 200 million hidden in that bill somewhere. I couldn't find it. To try to entice them to stick around. I'm not sure what the future is for that. And then there's cap and trade. And in your white paper that we published here, I won't read it all out, but you can see there's a 3-tier system for the cap and trade that got done. Cap and trade was much different than LCFS. Cap and trade was actually thought of by...
Cap and invest.
I'm sorry, I can't get past... Yeah. For the insiders, cap and invest. It sounds much better. Maybe that's why it passed. So anyway, that got through as well. Interesting last night of session, though, because we're in the middle, you're actually allowed, there's no clock stops at midnight. So I made the mistake of having a couple of bills placed with Republican authors and was reminded that in order to keep members like Carl DeMaio and some of the others from disrupting the process and trying to slow play until the clock winds out, what they do is they make sure that no Republican authors get to present their bills. So at 3:25 in the morning, where I'd come up to a bill that I had with the Republican author for the 4th time, and I realized, why am I still sitting here? They're not going to let me pick it up. So I went home, came back 3 hours later, and we started over again. They finished Saturday by about 2 in the afternoon, which worked out fine. But anyway, another lesson learned. So I think that's most. I'm sure there's other things I could sit here and talk about, but I'll pause if there's anything in particular.
I'm glad to see we don't have to send a bus up to pick Gary with that one bill that you have to require transit members to ride transit.
Yeah. Yeah, that one got sidelined.
You have any questions?
Just speaking of sidelines, your reference to Kip Lipper, we teach a class together.
Really?
Yeah, they call him the
41st Senator.
Exactly, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I have video of him. So I married into a family in Sacramento, the Desmonds, which are like this part of the founding families of Sacramento, and the Lippers, which is Kip, and the Desmonds kind of grew up together.
Oh, really?
So there's family video from when Kip was much younger.
He's a gem. Very well
He
attended.
is.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I would just say that we had a huge, the last two legislative cycles have been pretty darn impressive, and Bo's done such a great job for us. And we got $150 million last year for
only $149 million of new money in 2024 from the state Caltrans Highway Local Bridge Program, accomplished without any legislation.
Best way to do it.
But that was a lot of work. And then this year, we really had to pull together, a whole slew of interest groups with, all the building trades unions, and the painters really stepped up, and the hired workers. And Bo kind of helped coordinate that. It was pretty amazing and I think that's going to save us $200 million in the retrofit.
Yeah, John received a call from the contractor saying that the price was going to go up $200 million based on the new lead regulation. And, we didn't want that to happen. So we're pleased that working with some of our board members, platinum advisors, and a lot of great unions, that we're able to come up with a solution that avoided that outcome.
Pretty successful.
Amplified meetings.
Yeah, it was. Yes, really exciting. It's kind of fun when you're walking in with the contractors and the unions and the district. When we're all walking in together, it's such a powerful thing. It was really kind of neat to see. So, anything else? Okay, Bo, thank you very much. It's always good to see you.
It's always a pleasure to come down and present. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, there's no action on item 3, so we'll move on to 4, which is public comment. Is there anyone wishing to address the committee?
We actually have a speaker for your item. So we do have a speaker for item number 3. I'd like to invite David Pilpel. Would you like to speak on this item? I believe you wanted to do public comment on this one.
Great. David Pilpel. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine.
Okay. So very briefly, I understand that SB 707 includes significant changes to the Ralph M. Brown Act covering meetings of public agencies prior to January 1, 2026 and July 1, 2026 as applicable. It would be great to have a better understanding of its impacts on this board, its committees, including advisory committees if applicable, and the district's 4 public advisory committees. I sit on one of them. While the overall goals of accessibility, transparency, and increased use of technology are great, the implementation details seem onerous. It seems like changes to bylaws, rules, policies, and practices may be in order, and there isn't much time. Other bills may affect the Brown Act and the California Public Records Act in smaller ways as well. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank David for his comments, and let him know that we'll be, as always, in full compliance with all applicable laws and regulations, including new laws, such as 707.
Comments?
That's it. That's all the comments.
Having reached the end of the agenda, may I have a motion to adjourn? The time is 10:05.